All right. Hello. Welcome back. For those of you who are new here, I'm Joe. I'm an attorney in Salt Lake City, licensed in Utah. And I think I've got a fun one for you today. So, primarily, we're looking at the case United States versus Williams, but we're just looking at a very, very little one filing out of hundreds. It's a big case. I seem quiet to myself, but um, big case. Lots of co-defendants. So it's insane. But there's a very interesting filing that I'm kind of late file, but it is what it is. So first things first, though. So for those of you who have been around for a while, you may notice I'm a little sunburned. Easter was sunny. It was hot. It was all outside, and I'm not used to the sun anymore because it's been a long, cold winter. So and then 81 Fahrenheit, I think, on uh, Monday, record heat, which is insane because last Wednesday, the Wednesday before Easter, we had 20 inches of snow on the ground at my house just from one storm. It was insane. And the result of that, this isn't my house, but this is near my house. It's within walking distance. The road is a river. This is Immigration Creek overflowing. There's a park right behind the camera that this is behind the sign here. It's just down to houses. So they sandbagged. It's insane. So yeah, as much as the warm weather was nice, we need a little bit of cooler weather. But with that said, let's jump into the case. I've wasted enough time. So, like I said, it's United States versus Williams. The background. This was a bunch of retired NBA players and a few others. I think there's a doctor, and basically they did a health insurance scam, scamming the NBA players or retired players associations health insurance to the tunes of hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. Just bad news. Uh, so they were charged in the Southern District of New York in federal court. So scrolling down, we've got, like I said, it's Williams. Williams is not our hero today, but the defendants, Amir Wahab, Alan Anderson, who is the subject of today's video, Anthony Allen, Anthony Roten, Antoine Wright, Charles Watson Jr., Christopher Douglas Roberts, who I think has done something similar to Mr. Anderson, uh, Darius Miles, Desiree Allen, Eddie Robinson, Gregory Smith, Mario Moon, Keon Dooling, Melvin Ely, Patrick Kazarian, I think that's the doctor, Glenn Davis, Ruben Patterson, Sebastian Telfair, Shannon Brown, Sophia Chavez, definitely not one of the NBA players, Terrence Williams, Will Bynum, William Washington versus, well, United States as plaintiff. So, yeah, most of them have now pled guilty. And to set the for hero, Alan Anderson, the procedural posture here, it's strange. It's just it's bizarre. But what he's doing is bizarre anyway. So it whatever. Um, so without burying the lead too much further, he's gone more. He's gone more. He, you know, he earned almost $9 million during his NBA career, but he had to scam people out of more money. And then once he's caught, he goes sovereign citizen, and specifically of the Moorish variety. But that's not the weirdest part. The weird part is he pled guilty, and then between pleading guilty and sentencing is when he went more. Usually you do that before because you're trying to get out of trouble. Instead, he pleads guilty, then goes more saying, "Nah, you can't touch me." It doesn't work anyway, but you'd think he'd do it before pleading guilty. So, with that being said, we have I don't know which docket number this is. I downloaded it not from the docket, not from Pacer, because that's where I found. Well, I found it somewhere else, and it's the. Let's see. I think it's 669 or 689. That it's corrupted, so I can't see that. But either way, it was filed last year, late last year, and this is a return of his pre-sentence report. So basically, once you've been found guilty, either enter a plea or found guilty by a jury, usually the probation department will do a pre-sentence investigation and write up a report about it. They'll say, these are all the aggravating factors. These are, mitigating factors. This is, he should have success with this kind of punishment, that sort of stuff. So he returned his pre-sentence report, filed it back with the court, and written at a 45-degree angle. I'm assuming in red ink, but it's a black and white scan, so I can't say for sure, but sovereign citizens love red ink at 45-degree angles. This is roughly a 45-degree angle, so I'm assuming it's red ink. It says, handwritten, refused for fraud, ! No contract, ! Inducement to fraud, ! Do not consent, ! And I don't know why, but Clearfield Doctrine, ! What is the Clearfield Doctrine? It arises out of Clearfield Trust Company versus United States. It's a U.S. Supreme Court case from 1943. And basically, the doctrine is that federal negotiable instruments are governed by federal law, and thus a federal court had the authority to fashion a common law rule about federal negotiable instruments. How that applies to or has any relevance at all to this case, I don't know. But that's what it is. So, didn't want to scroll down yet. So, the offense, as outlined in this pre-sentence investigation report, conspiracy to commit healthcare fraud, which is 8 U.S. Code 1349 and 18 U.S. Code 1347, and the lesser included offense. Maximum of 10 years imprisonment, not more than 3 years supervised release, up to $250,000 fine or twice the gross gain or loss, and $100 special assessment. It's a Class C felony. His release status at the time, he was arrested in the District of Nevada on October 8th, 2021, and released on his own recognizance and the following conditions: pretrial services supervision, satisfying all outstanding warrants within 90 days, and provide verification to pretrial services, surrender any passport or travel document, and do not reapply for new travel documents. Travel restricted to the continental United States, no contact with any known victim, or blah, blah, blah. So that's where we were. Like I said, he had not been sentenced at this time. He has been now. I believe it was 24 months in federal prison. So, but this is the fun part. This is what he has attached to that pre-sentence report. And we've seen similar filings before. This is the Moroccan flag with the cedar tree and the Moorish flag, star on a red background. I think it's a gold star on the red background. The Islamic moon and star, the pyramid from the that you see it on money, and the seal with the eagle. It's a bad scan. So, but it's titled Moorish National Republic Federal Government, Moorish Divine and National Movement of the World, Northwest Amexem, Northwest Africa, North America, the North Gate, Temple of the Moon and Sun, Societas Republicae L. Americanos, the true and de jure natural peoples, heirs of the land. Affidavit of fact, writ of error, international document. Notice to agent is notice to principal. Notice to principal is notice to agent. Exhibit C. So, as we get with sovereign citizens, it's his affidavit of fact, which I still don't understand how sovereign citizens in general think that an affidavit has the force of law. It just means you've sworn something to be the truth. I just don't understand the power that they think an affidavit holds. But we're going to look through it, and we'll see how far I get, because I might go insane first and say I've had enough and call it a day. But Exhibit C, Ruby J. Krajic, acting as administrative clerk, basically court clerks. Damian Williams, as acting as district attorney, United States Attorney's Office. He's not acting as, and he's not acting as the district attorney. He's the U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York. They're different things. And Jonathan Sussman, acting as attorney. He's your attorney. He's acting on your behalf, but he is an attorney. This is just insanity. And regarding misrepresented instrument, bill of attainder / foreign bill of exchange, titled as Pre-Sentence Investigation Report, dated November 17th, 2022, filed in case number, a bill of attainder is outlawed specifically in the Constitution. But This isn't a bill of attainder. A bill of attainder is basically if Congress were to come out and say, this person, Joe, is guilty of this crime that we have just passed specifically for him to be guilty of. It was a problem back in the colonial days. The King George passed them, and the founding fathers weren't big fans, so they outlawed it specifically. This specifically is not one. Stare decisis law. A court cannot confer jurisdiction where none existed and cannot make a void proceeding valid. It is clear and well-established law that a void order can be challenged in any court. See Old Wayne Mutual Loan Association versus McDonough from the Supreme Court in 1907. Memorandum. Is this an affidavit of fact or is this a memorandum? They're different things. But memorandum, the misrepresented instrument, bill of attainder, foreign bill of exchange, titled as Pre-Sentence Investigation Report, dated November 7th, 22, filed in this case, is made out to the fictitious corporate person, nom de guerre Alan Anderson, race black, under color of law, within purview of the unconstitutional 14th Amendment, with the intent to kidnap me, denationalize me, and hold me hostage for profit as surety for the nom de guerre Alan Anderson, race black, in unlawful imprisonment against my consent, absent of a lawful warrant and without due process of law, in violation of my secured rights under Article 3, Section 2, and the 4th, 5th, and organic 13th Amendments, Section 12, of the Constitution for the United States of North America, and in violation of my secured treaty rights to consular jurisdiction under Article 20 and 21 of the Treaty of Peace and Friendship of 1836 between the United States of North America and the Moroccan Empire. I don't understand how the 14th Amendment of the Constitution can be unconstitutional. It's specifically part of the Constitution. It just doesn't make sense. Therefore, your instrument titled as wait. Okay, yeah. Up here he had it right. Pre-sentence investigation. But here he says, therefore, your instrument titled as presentment investigation report, which I think he's trying to, like, I don't think that's a typo, because it was a pre-sentence investigation report, but sovereign citizens, we've seen videos where, can I make my presentments? So I wonder if that's what he's after here, but I don't know. But therefore, your instrument titled as Presentment Investigation Report, dated November 17th, 2022, is unconstitutional, notwithstanding null and void as initio, should be ab initio, I believe, and is not enforceable for lack of jurisdiction and fraud. See United States versus Throckmorton from the Supreme Court. Fraud vitiates the most solemn contracts, documents, and even judgments. And see Elliott versus Pearsall, also from the Supreme Court in 1828. Courts are constituted by authority, and they cannot act beyond the power delegated to them. If a court acts without authority, its judgments and orders are regarded as nullities. They are not voidable, but simply void, and form no bar to a remedy sought in opposition to them, even prior to reversal. They constitute no justification and all persons concerned in executing such judgments or sentences are considered in law as trespassers. Well, lucky for the prosecutors here that they have jurisdiction. I mean that they cannot act beyond the power delegated to them. The U.S. Attorney and the U.S. District Court are exactly the entities tasked with enforcing federal criminal law. I know it's a difficult concept, but that. November 14th, 2022, you were duly served with process at your mailing address the affidavit of fact, rescission of signature, which was entered in the records of the case number. On November 18th, 2022, you were duly served with process at your mailing address the affidavit of fact, writ of quo warranto, which Exhibit A, which was entered in the records of the case and was given 3 days from the date to answer and prove jurisdiction. You have failed to answer and prove jurisdiction, which constitutes default. Therefore, it is hereby ordered and adjudged that a writ of error be, and the same is hereby entered against you, Ruby J. Krajcik, Damian Williams, Jonathan Sussman, and any other person related. This is the defendant cosplaying as a judge and entering orders. I mean, I'm speechless. This is asinine. Yikes. It is further ordered and adjudged that the misrepresented instrument, bill of attainder / foreign bill of exchange, titled Presentment Investigation Report, dated November 17th, 2022, and any attachments associated thereto are null and void ab initio and are unenforceable for lack of jurisdiction and fraud. It is further ordered and adjudged that the collusive action and de facto administrative proceedings taken under color of law in this case in the records of the foreign United States District Court for the Southern District of New York, Inc., are unconstitutional, notwithstanding null and void ab initio and are unenforceable for lack of jurisdiction and fraud. It's not an administrative proceeding. It's a court proceeding. It's heard before a district court judge, not an administrative law judge. Done and ordered at Maghrib Al-Aqsa, Northwest Amexem, North America. Affidavit. I declare and affirm by virtue of divine law under the Zodiac Constitution and upon the United States Republic Constitution of 1789/1791 and upon the honor of my foremothers and forefathers that the foregoing writ of error and affidavit is true and correct. Executed this 21st day of November, 2022. Alan Anderson Bay, de jure, in propria persona, sui juris, in full life, authorized representative ex rel. Alan Anderson. All rights reserved. Las Vegas, Nevada Republic. Non-domestic, non-resident, non-subject. Affidavit of fact, certificate of service. I, Alan Anderson Bay, hereby certify that on this 21st day of November, 2022, the enclosed affidavit of fact, writ of error, Exhibit C, was sent via United States Postal Service certified mail and or hand delivery to the following recipients. Ruby J. Krajcik, acting as administrative clerk, Damian Williams, acting as district attorney, even though he's the United States attorney, and Jonathan Sussman, acting as attorney. And bear in mind, Jonathan Sussman is Alan Anderson's attorney. I mean, let's jump back. This is the docket, and find. Yeah, Alan Anderson, represented by Jonathan David Sussman. So this is his attorney, Jonathan Sussman. When you have your own attorney, you're not allowed to file court documents. I mean, ugh. And this is CC'd to Robert J. Rodriguez, New York Secretary of State. Why? He's New York, a state official. This is federal court. But also to Anthony J. Blinker, United States Secretary State. Merrick B. Garland, United States Attorney General. I'm surprised he didn't put district attorney, since that's what he did for the United States Attorney. Michelle Bachelet Jeria, or Haria, Yeria, whatever. United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights. Office of the Consul General of Morocco, and www.enforcetheconstitution.org, Morocco Consular Court. I have that pulled up already. We'll go to that later. But we're going to continue with this. Morocco, Maghreb al-Aqsa, northwest of Mexim, to wit. I hereby certify that the foregoing is a full, true, and correct copy of the legal notice, name, declaration, correction, proclamation, and publication, and the judicial notice and proclamation for Alan Anderson Bay, filed on October 25th, 2022, and was truly taken and copied from the records of nationalization proceedings in the Morocco Consular Court at the Maryland State Republic. In testimony whereof, I have hereunto affixed the seal of the Vizier of Morocco Consular Court at the Maryland State Republic this 29th day of the month of Rabi ul Awal, 1444 MCY, October 25th, 2025, CCY. I don't know what MCY and CCY mean, but... And basically, what this document is, I guess now's as good a time as any to go to that website. This was him declaring his nationality. Anyone who's followed Moorish sovereign citizens for any amount of time have heard them talk about, you've got to declare your nationality. Hey, brother, have you declared your nationality? Apparently, this is where they do it. It says, declare your nationality. Everyone's nationality / citizenship is determined by jus sanguinis, right of blood. Please review the nationalization process below. Except not everyone's nationality is determined by the right of blood. In some countries, that's the only way. In the United States, it's determined by blood or by land. That's the birthright citizenship. If you're born here, you're a citizen. If you're born in Germany to non-German parents, you're not a German citizen. But this is all nonsense, of course. But scrolling down, though, we see the below public declarations made 1/17/2023 to 2/14/2023 by Ashton Germain Bay, Sir Amir Corey, Israel Curley. Well, he's be important. He isn't just or he an Ari. Oh, hey, here's our hero, Alan Anderson Bay. Alvin Rogers Bay. Let's see if I can find. I think one of the other co-defendants also went more, but he might have been for a while. So I didn't see his name. That doesn't matter. But while we're over here, we've got mortgage disputes. We've got study materials for Moors. We've got bills of attainder, habeas corpus cases, and then more. And under Moor, and that's M-O-R-E, declaring. Come on, don't freeze on me. By more, it means additional, not Moorish. But treason and genocide. Yikes. National ID and recording. Subscribe for workshops. Sunday Gun Day. Consultation and training. Morocco Consular Court. Declare your nationality. Traffic cases. Foreclosure cases. Fraudulent lien cases. Moors know all about fraudulent lien cases. Criminal cases. Rise of the Moors case. Child custody cases. Bethesda Mansion case. Workshops and pictures. Surrender the license. Adverse claim to property. Silver coins. Natural sea moss. Research and contact us. We might have to do another live stream going over this website all on its own. But let's jump back into the court document. And let's see, that's the seal of Amra Azza Bey RASM/Vizier, Morocco Consular Court at Maryland State Republic. All rights reserved. Ooh, and it's stamped by the Vizier of Morocco Consular Court on October 25th. Hey, in this one, it's not corrupted, so it's document 690 if you want to find this in the docket. So this is Moorish National Republic Federal Government, Societas Republic E.L. Americanos, Moorish Divine and National Movement of the World, Northwest Amexem, Northwest Africa, North America, the North Gate, Temple of the Moon and Sun, the true and de jure natural peoples, heirs of the land, Islam, legal notice, name declaration, correction, proclamation, and publication. I, Alan Anderson Bay, being a direct descendant of the ancient Canaanites, Moabites, assert my birthright claim of right and of title. Standing squarely and duly affirmed, I do declare and proclaim upon divine law, upon nature's law, upon universal law, upon my Moorish birthrights, upon international law, and by treaty and constitutional law, declare, proclaim, and say, I, Alan Anderson Bay, being previously misclassified and misidentified by persons of the Union States Society. That's a new one to me. Union States Society, USA, doing business at North America, was falsely designated under the colorable wardship name Alan Jeffrey Anderson, and do hereby refute the said misclassifications and frauds, making it known to the public, and publish my corrected free national name, attribute, and title. I declare and affirm my true, proper person status and estate, and assertively reclaim my rightful social and cultural life of the state. My declaration, correction, proclamation, and publication are in sanguineous and harmonious accord with my Moorish nation of Northwest Amexem/North America, acknowledging my birthright, having lawfully, dutifully, and legally obtained and proclaimed my Moorish nationality and birthrights, name and title, in harmony with, in association with, and in accord with divine law, the archaic customs, certainly archaic, and the laws, rules, and usages of the Moorish divine national movement, being aboriginal and indigenous and bound to the North American continent by heritage, by primogeniture, by birthright, by natural birth, by freehold, and by heirship inheritance. Yikes. My right of claim is declared for the public record, and I am returning the European cognomen, brands, and fictitious misnomers back to the colonial possessors of their construct and pedigree. I am now rightfully and correctively declaring, publishing, and proclaiming my own free national name, affirming my actual, rightful, and civil, in full life status, conjoined to my Moorish American consanguine pedigree and national honor. Let it be declared, known, published, and resolved that I am Alan Anderson Bay, in propria persona, sui juris, sui heredis, in solo proprio, being in my own proper person, by birthright, and by heirship inheritance, and without imposition of the foreign imposed color of law, color of authority, nor by any assumed or colorable jurisdictions or due processes of the foreign Union States Society persons doing business at. And that's where that section apparently ends, mid-sentence. It's either a bad scan or incompetence. I'm going with incompetence. And I think we're starting a list in the middle here with number 4. United States Constitution, Article 3, Section 2, Amendment 5, Liberty Clause, and Amendment 9, Reservation of Rights of the People. 5. House of Representatives, Resolution Number 75, dated April 17th, 1933, entitled Moorish American Society of Philadelphia and the Use of Their Names. House resolutions are not laws. 6. Universal Declaration of Human Rights, United Nations, Human Rights, Article 15. And 7. Rights of Indigenous Peoples, United Nations General Assembly, Part 1, Article 4, Article 5. International law. Moorish Americans, being the rightful heirs and aboriginal and indigenous natural peoples of the land, have and exercise the divine and natural rights to proclaim our attributes, names, titles, and nationality. Now, the way the ancestors of African Americans, and therefore the ancestors of most Moorish Americans, the way their ancestors were brought to the United States was awful. It just absolute awful. Slavery, not good in the slightest. But that doesn't make it any less offensive for these moops to claim they are the rightful heirs and Aboriginal and indigenous natural peoples of the land. Here in Utah, my Navajo and Ute and Paiute and Shoshone and others friends would beg to disagree. And that's just listing some of the natives here in Utah. You know, that we hundreds of other tribes, but all across the country. But this doesn't make it any less offensive. So Moors / Moors, Muurs, have and exercise the divine and natural rights to revitalize, use, develop, and to transmit to our future generations their histories, their languages, oral traditions, their languages. So shouldn't you be writing this in Arabic? Why is this in English if you're reserving your languages, oral traditions, philosophies, writing systems, and literatures, and to designate and retain their own names for communities, places, and person? States shall take effective measures whenever any rights of Moors may be threatened to ensure that this right is protected, and also to ensure that they can understand and be understood in political, legal, and administrative proceedings where necessary through the provision of interpretation or by other appropriate means. Wherefore, I, Alan Anderson Bay, being heir to the land and part and parcel named herein, by birthright, by freehold, by primogeniture, and by heirship inheritance, stand with assured competence and make a lawful and legal entry of affidavit and public notification of nationality proclamation, name correction, declaration, affirmation, and application, herewith made known and published for the public record. I am Alan Anderson Bay, a free and sovereign Moorish American national in propria persona, sui juris, sui heredis, in solo proprio, Northwest Africa, North America, the North Gate, Temple of the Moon and Sun, all rights reserved, with a witness, also a free and sovereign Moor, and another witness, both with L affixed to their names. And then next we have a judicial notice and proclamation. Public servants and officers of trust, etc., doing business as, of, and for the federal, state, city, and municipal governments, including personal, their contractors, and their other associate corporate entities doing business at North America, and to all third-party interlopers or contractors, etc., concerning their fiduciary obligations, their official oaths, and their duties enumerated in the American Constitution, adopted for governance of the United States Republic, all binding treaties, the established law of the land, and all statutory and civil law codes of the land, etc. Know all men by these publications and presents, upon my heirship, included inherited nobility, and upon my private aboriginal, indigenous, proper person status and commercial liability, I, Alan Anderson Bay, affirmed under consanguine unity, pledge my national, political, and spiritual allegiance to my Moabite Moorish nation, being the archaic aboriginals indigenous of a maxim, the Americas, standing squarely affirmed upon my oath to the 5 points of light: love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Of those 5 points of light, the truth point has clearly dimmed. Do squarely affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and having knowledge and firmly established belief upon the historical, law, and adjudicated facts contained herein, being competent in my own proper person to attest to this affidavit upon which I place my signature, whereas I state, proclaim, and declare the following to be true, correct, certain, complete, not misleading, supreme, and not intended to be presented for any misrepresented, colored, or improper use or purpose, to wit, that I, Alan Anderson Bay, am a noble of the Moroccan Empire, North America, in propria persona, my own proper self, being Moorish American, an heir and descendant of the ancient Moabites/Moors, by birthright, by freehold, by primogeniture, and by inheritance, being aboriginal and indigenous to the lands, a Mexim/Americas, territorium hereditaments of my ancient Moab/Moor foremothers and forefathers, to wit, the Moroccan American continents are. This is such nonsense. Like I said, my head might explode before I finish. The Moroccan continents are the lands of the Moors, being North America, South America, Central America, including the adjoining islands, Americana, Ameru, Maroc. I acknowledge, I claim, and I possess, by the said inheritance and primogeniture, the freehold status thereto, all unalienable and substantive rights, to be, to enjoy, and to act, distinct in my aboriginal traditions, customs, and culture, and determining my own political, social, and economic status of the state. I am turning my heart, my allegiance, and my mind back to my ancient mothers and fathers, Moors, with cognate honor, and by divine and natural right, being Moorish Americans and direct heirs and descendants of the ancient Moabites. We have and possess the divine and internationally recognized rights to our hereditaments and resources, and proclaim the right to determine our own social, economic, and political life and status of the state, and in harmony with international law, and with such that we, heirs of the land, possess the secured rights to travel upon the lands of our ancient foremothers and forefathers, upon the public roadways, I scrolled too much, upon the byways, and upon the highways of our continental United States, relating to the organic land, and because, yeah, the asphalt of the highway is organic land, and absent of the genocidal, fraud-based extortion, tributes, and human trafficking imposed by foreign, colored inquisitionists, or by their corporation imposed excise taxation constructs, invented by the racketeering, anti-constitutional, foreign states legislators, constructed under color and styled to abridge and to steal substantive rights belonging to the natural peoples. These substantive rights are supported by and asserted by royal law, Moorish law, Muslim/Muslim law, the law of the Great Peace, the laws of nature, divine law, nature's law, the laws of nations, the Free Moorish Great Seal Zodiac Constitution, stare decisis, res judicata, and bindingly affirmed by Articles 3, 4, and 6 of the American Constitution Covenant of 1774 through 1781 AD and Treaty 1200-1 MC as lawfully adopted for the United States Republic, establishing its republican form of government. The said American Constitution established the people's supreme law of the land, standing upon the principles of moral government to secure the rights of the people and to keep limited government operatives bound and in check by official oath and by official bond. Let it be known that, down from the ancient ones, our primogenitors, came the allodial isonomy principles which established the supreme law of the land. Down from the ancient ones. Yikes. Egypt, or Hiccupta, is the capital empire of the Dominion of Africa. The inhabitants of Africa are the descendants of the ancient Canaanites from the land of Canaan, the Moabites from the land of Moab. Here in Utah, we have a different Moab. Only passed through it twice. Real pretty area, right there by Arches and Canyonlands National Parks. From the Moabites from the land of Moab, who received permission from the pharaohs of Egypt to settle and inhabit northwest Africa. They were the founders and are the true possessors of the present Moroccan Empire. This includes Algiers, Tunis, Tripoli, Mauritania, and the Americas, with their Canaanite, Hittite, and Amorite brethren, who sojourned from the land of Canaan, seeking new homes. Their dominion and inhabitation extended from northeast and southwest Africa, across the great Atlantis, even unto the present North America, South America, and Central America, and also Mexico and the Atlantis Islands, Americana, before the great earthquake which caused the great Atlantic Ocean. Really? I'm assuming the great earthquake which caused the great Atlantic Ocean caused the Atlantis Islands to disappear. Is that the Atlantis of ancient myth? The Great Seal Pyramid is the national emblem and insignia of the Moorish nation, Empire of North America, geographical location. The Great Pyramid, equilateral, is also the archaic symbol for civilization on the planet Earth. The Honorable Moor's acknowledgement of our Great Seal indicates those heirs who own up to, who support, and who proclaim our free national government. Moors who are active and not passive in the social, civilization, culture, and custom matters involving law, order, and governmental principles are hereby entreated to support this affirmation. Moors who strive towards this end with honor are entrusted by noble Drew Ali to help in the great humanitarian work of uplifting ourselves, our fellow man, and humanity at large, by giving them pseudo-legal babble that causes them to go to prison. That's how you uplift yourself. We, the conscious heirs, seek at all times to be cognizant of the civilization works, instructions, and progressive acts necessary to teach, to preserve, and to defend the nationality and birthrights of all Moorish Americans, Al Moroccans, etc. Noble Moors, there's a parent, are the natural members, citizens of the ancient Al Moroccan Empire, North America slash the North Gate, and are by civic and social duty bound to recognize and to support our Great Seal, sovereign Moorish national federal government, and consanguine nation of the natural people. In our relation with others, we command the enforcement of our Al Moroccan Constitution. Thus, such organized communications and orders are referred to as the Great Seal National Association of Moorish Affairs, the Free Moorish Nation, inclusive of all the Aboriginal, indigenous, indigene tribes and provinces of the natural people, etc., are the rightful bearers of the attributes, names, and noble titles Ali, El, Bey, Day, and Al. I don't think I've ever seen a Moor with the noble title Ali, other than Noble Drew Ali, but yeah. The free Moors, by freehold inheritance, retain all substantive rights and immunities, enjoy the exercising of all substantive rights, and operate upon consummated right law, isonomy principles, having pre-existed, vested constitution and treaty, secured rights and immunities from foreign corporate taxation and from foreign criminal and civil jurisdiction by and of the colonial Union States Rights Republic, USA, private corporation and persons, pursuant to, but not limited to, divine right, the United States Republic Supreme Court, international law, and the acts of state, to wit, every sovereign state, people, is bound to respect the independence of every other sovereign state, people, and the courts of one country, people, will not sit in judgment on the acts of the government of another done within the same or its own territory. The present Union, sorry. The present Union States, municipal and civil laws and codes imposed upon the land are a private, law incorporated unit of self government established by the political powers of the General Assembly of each state of the Union, limited and bound by Article 4 and initiated at Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, North America in the year 1854. Okay. It governs only the rights and conduct of the alleged white people. Christians. Circle 7, archaically established by. Once again, I think this is a scanning error or something that we might be missing a page. And so I've never understood, as an aside, it governs only the rights of white people. It's we're not bound by this. We have our own government. We blah blah blah. It's like, yet you don't build your own roads. you expect the states to do that, but you get the benefit. You don't build your own hospitals. You don't do anything. It's take, 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 take. I just don't understand this. Let's see. I don't know how much more I'm able to take. Let's see. Scrolling. Yeah, I think. Speaking of things that they don't do, he used United States Postal Service. Why have the Moors not set up their own postal service? Is it because they're all noble and therefore labor is beneath them? It just doesn't make sense to me. But on the we have it's a flat rate envelope, pro se written on the envelope. So, but yeah, I think almost exactly 1 hour of that is about all I'm able to manage without my head exploding. But I meant to pull this up earlier. This is our hero, Alan Anderson. Career NBA statistics 7.3 points per game. Best year 2012 2013 with the Toronto Raptors, 10.3 points per game. $9 million career NBA earnings for 8 years played at 7.3 points per game. It's good work if you can get it. I obviously couldn't get it, but yeah. So, with that, thanks for joining me. Hopefully, I'll have more stuff soon. I think this case is probably a one and done, but I I'm behind, but not super far behind. I still think I'm going to start covering the Onision cases just because a dancing banana. How can you not? And I need to do the ancillary Bitcoin YouTubers lawsuit, especially since BitBoy Crypto is going to get himself in a lot of trouble here real soon. So I think those are the next things I'm going to be covering real soon. But with that said, please like, share, subscribe, do all those fun things, and I will see you real soon. Thanks.